Welcome to Hispanic Biz Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. We interview successful Hispanic business owners to learn from them their story and also to learn how they survived the struggles of building a business. We're very fortunate today to have with us a gentleman who's been in business a long time, built a wonderful business, Mr. Juan Manzanarez, better known as Manny, of Coronado TV and Appliance. Mr. Manzanarez, thank you so much for taking your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for giving me the chance to share some of our experience.
Coronado TV and Appliance is located at 7112 North Mesa. How long have you been in business?
Okay, we opened up on Mesa Street back in 1976.
In 76?
In July of 1976.
Was that your first business opening?
Yeah, I've been involved in electronics before at a very young age. But it wasn't until 1976 that I actually rented a place on Mesa Street and went on business.
So you've been on Mesa Street in Northwest El Paso for all that time. You saw it develop. You saw that area develop.
Very much, yes. I remember that we used to walk up to Wrestler Street, Mesa and Wrestler, and the only thing we had over there at that time was Coronado High School and development of the Colony Cove shopping center. That's where we are right now.
Wow. So how in the world did you start this business?
Well, I was exposed to, or rather instilled the need to get into something that it wasn't manual by my parents, my father. My father instilled in me that notion of be it something that you don't have to work with your hands. And so then I don't know, I must have been 5 or 6 years old. My mother took me to, after school, she took me to the neighbor. A neighbor had a shop in his house fixing electronic equipment, the old kind. And so I was just there helping and observing electronics. I remember that. Then a few years later, the same thing happened, and my father took me to a place on Oregon Street, Pantojas TV. And so again, I was there on the weekends, and I got exposed to television. At the time, television was the main thing in electronics. And remember, back then, we're talking about television sets that had glass tubes, vacuum tubes. People used to take those tubes out of their televisions and go to Walgreens, and Walgreens had a tester and buy them and replace them. But when the sets needed more work, then of course. So that's how I got exposed. At first, it was hands-on training, and then we moved to Las Cruces, and in Las Cruces, New Mexico, also in conjunction with a school, the trade school, Mayfield High School. We got involved also in another TV repair business, and so I spent a couple of years, 3 years. I was very young, about 18, 19 years old, and save money, and so I had a lot of family in El Paso. One day we decided to open up a business.
Wow. So you were born in El Paso?
In the area, in the borderland.
And your mother and father too, or?
No, they. Well, all of us are from Chihuahua, El Paso, and so it's We're from the area.
And your father, what did he do?
My dad worked in maintenance. Yeah, he was a professional boxer.
Really?
Yeah, when he was young, and he was invited to do a fight at the Coliseum. I never got to see those fights.
Really?
And so we were, moving back and forth, and that's how we.
Interesting. So what was his fighting name?
Pocarito, El Pocarito Manzanarez.
Really?
Yeah, fights sponsored by Café Combate.
I'll relearn.
Café Combate, actually combate means
Fight.
and it's a cafe that comes from Chihuahua, generated in, not originally, but in Chihuahua City it took off, and they sponsor the fights. I met a friend like a year ago, and he wants to further process and distribute Café Combate.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
So
Still around. It's
it's still around.
Yeah. And your mother, what did she do?
My mother, she was a housewife.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she never had.
How many brothers and sisters?
I have a brother. I had actually a sister who works with us.
Oh, okay.
And my brother, and just.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from your father?
Oh well, pretty much everything. The discipline, and to be focused on something, and then what I mentioned before, that he instilled in me the need to get into something that. At that time, the possibilities for younger people were trade jobs, and nothing wrong with that. But he didn't want me to be like, mechanic or something like that. Now they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, now because mechanics, wow. Now with the electronics in motors, it's. But back then, it was just like changing the.
Yeah, and TVs were something new, I guess.
Yeah.
Too. And so, what did you grow up with a lot of dichos in your home? A lot of sayings that guided your life?
Well, my father, being a fighter, professional fighter, always taught me not to get involved in fights. Yeah, he said, don't be an aggressive person. Just run away from.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
coming from a boxer.
Did you ever train yourself?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
Really?
Yes.
Because it was too brutal, I guess.
I guess, and he stopped. He stopped after his second or third professional fight, and we have newspapers of the time.
Yeah.
So he was an inspiration.
Okay.
My father, and my mother too, but my father was the one that insisted on us on getting an education.
Okay.
Always get an education. That's pretty much the only way that Hispanics have a way of succeeding.
Yeah. So did he talk to you about having your own business, or was that something that you?
Well, it was a combination of him and then me. There's nothing like being self-employed.
Yeah.
Nothing in the world like owning your.
But you didn't know that at that time.
No, I did not know that. But I could see that if you have your own business, I didn't know at the time, but I don't regret one bit. And we've been in business continuously.
Wow.
For 45 years. Actually, we had never closed the business one day, except on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays. up until March 2020.
Really?
It was weird
with the COVID.
because we never
How long did you have to stay closed?
for a month.
Really?
For a month,
Oh
yes.
wow, with COVID.
Yeah.
So did that hurt your business?
No, not at all. No. We have a customer base of many years. I could even consider it cultural thing, television, because see, back then when I first started, television was an important feature in the family household, very important. Right now is not, because you could go and pretty much buy a 2-3 sets but back then televisions were expensive. So the TV technician, TV repair guy was an important person back then. It still is, but we now diversify.
Yeah.
But back then, people said, in life you need to know 3 persons: a good doctor, a good attorney, and a good TV technician.
That's interesting.
Because they really depended on us.
Were TVs fragile at that time?
They needed maintenance. They needed maintenance. And then remember, I've seen the evolution of television from color was around, but not really popular. So it was black and white, then color TV, small TVs. Then we went into solid state, transistorized televisions, and they became bigger. And then during the beginning of the 70s and 80s, we had the projection TV, the huge televisions. And so those TVs were expensive, but they needed maintenance. They needed to have the refrigerant that cooled the lenses replaced. And so they needed a lot of...
So the need has always been there.
Yes. The supply and demand of service, because we've been in service. That's our trade.
So you saw the need, but you also had been in technical school, I guess, in high school, learning electronics a little bit.
Yes, and training hasn't stopped. Actually, 2 weeks ago, I stopped. I just completed taking the Samsung training. It used to be in person, now it's online, but it's very rigorous and difficult.
Really?
So the training never stopped. At one point, I registered in college to become an electrical engineer.
Really?
See, the fact that I was one of the principles of being in business is that you need to become or make yourself replaceable.
Oh.
Okay? Meaning that the business can run without you being present.
Where did you learn that?
Well, it became evident. I must have read it somewhere. Because in the beginning, I was doing pretty much everything. Well, my wife was taking care of the paperwork, but the dynamics, the day-to-day business was done by me. And then, now that I remember, it was a person, an older fellow who once told me, he said, "Hey, you need help, and you need to expand." So from then on, from that point, I hire people, and then more people, and I started actually going to school separate, and I enrolled at UTEP as an engineer.
Really?
Yes, electrical engineer.
Wow. So your wife helped you in the business. Did she help you start the business?
In the beginning, yes. It wasn't. She was not involved It was my father that helped me with building the benches. An uncle of mine built me the benches where you put the televisions, and there's a person in El Paso, Freddie Khan, from the Jewish community, that I had worked for him before, and here in El Paso. So when I came back from Las Cruces to open the business, he helped me to find a place, a location, a good location. So good that we haven't moved in many, many years. And he also helped me with, I had bought equipment, but I didn't have supplies, parts, so he furnished that.
Wow.
Freddie Khan.
Freddie Khan.
Yeah.
He had a business too. He had.
Yeah, on Persian, Colorama, right at the almost at the entrance of Dyer.
And you used to work for him, but he helped you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And did he talk business with you and help you think about business?
Oh, I'm pretty sure they're very good business persons.
Yeah.
And disciplined, strict. Actually, the owner of the building, the shopping center that we're in right now, Randy Whitker, also he's been very helpful. Actually, his father was the one that moved us into the present location.
So people helped you.
Oh yes, yeah. You have to be open to for help.
Did you have to have a lot of money to start?
Well, see, the concept of money or the value of money varies, of course. So back then, $10,000-$15,000, doesn't sound like much, but that's what what you needed back then, and so.
So how'd you do that? You have savings and.
Yeah, I saved. Yeah, I saved money, and but we never borrow.
Really?
Yes. See, that's the thing that I've seen other businesses like me go out of business, and one of the things is that you have to be able to sustain yourself, and management. That's where I claim that management, it's so important, more important than the trade sometimes itself. Whether you're a mechanic, a doctor, a dentist, whatever business you have, if you don't have a good management that runs the business and the administration of, then pretty much, no matter how good you are. So I think management, and my wife is the motor of the business. We do a lot of warranty work. We have now diversified to the point where we work on pretty much anything that is electronics.
Okay. Your wife's name?
I'm sorry?
Your wife's name?
Felicia Manzanares. Felicia, yeah, she
how many children do you have?
Two.
Okay. Are they in the business too?
No, they're not, but they work with us, and that's a good thing about having your own business. That it's difficult to hire family, but not impossible. And it could be a benefit, an advantage. So all my children have worked with me and with us and helped themselves through college.
Wow.
I have Omar, he just graduated as an electrical engineer from UTEP, what I couldn't accomplish.
Really?
And another one, a master in engineering, computer science.
Really?
And so they don't necessarily want to take over my business because but who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe they'll.
So how have you survived all these years? What in the world?
Well,
Because other people haven't, right?
right. Unfortunately, yeah. Well, by reinventing ourselves every time, by renovating our business, it was a key from the beginning. We've been involved with the satellite business. DirecTV was for a long time one of our business ventures, and Dish Network. We do work for the schools, the Paso Independent School District, for Fort Bliss, for several places. Tempur-Pedic beds. We do a lot of work for Tempur-Pedic beds. They're becoming very popular, and because everything involves electronics nowadays. See, in the beginning, we didn't do appliances because the functioning of a refrigerator didn't involve electronics. Nowadays, it's 60-70% electronics.
Wow.
And those technicians that I used to work on those appliances that didn't actuate their knowledge, upgrade their training, they got lost. So we always have to be on top of changes. When plasma televisions came, we didn't know what was going on. But then soon we learned how to the functioning. See, there are two kinds of technicians or mechanics. The ones that know how to repair things by replacing parts. It's valid,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know necessarily the functioning, the
Okay.
theory behind it,
Right.
how they work. But they know that they replace a relay, they replace a motor, they replace a circuit, that'll fix it. But then you got the other technicians, the one that know how the system works, and of course that's a big advantage.
So the way you approach repair of a TV from a perspective of understanding the key components, understanding the concept,
Right.
the key concepts versus just replacing parts.
Right.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it makes a big difference because when the circuit evolves, changes, then they might not understand what's going on, and us that we keep training, we know what's going on. And so of course we have to get sometimes certified.
Okay.
To be able to work on warranty from LG, Samsung, Panasonic.
You get certified, but you see the root of the problem. So, in terms of running a business, you talk as if you understand the theory of running a business too, as well. And is that how you approach developing your business skills?
Yes, definitely, Homero. See, with respect to the employees, the technicians, there are two methods or systems of approaching a business. Schools of thought, if you wish. One of them is that you keep your employees for as much as you can at whatever cost, if possible. And the advantages of that are that, they become very efficient, loyal, and they can substitute you. The problem with that approach is that if one of them, an employee that you had for 10, 15, 20 years or so, quits or becomes sick, then you're left with, having to train another one. The other is that you just hire people and train them as they come, and don't really, keep them for too long.
So you've reduced your turnover. You keep your turnover low.
Right. Yes. And so we took a chance with our employees, and like Jesse Rojas, he's been with us for. I keep saying 30 years, but then he says no, 30. 30. So he's getting ready to retire, and some have retired after 15, 20 years with us.
Wow.
So of all the employees we have, actually only one's been with us for just a couple of years. The rest been with us for many, many years.
How many employees do you have?
Okay, so it has varied from time to time. Right now we're in a downscale mode. We have like 7 permanent employees, and then 1 or 2 that are part-time. And before we had, more.
So you're repairing quite a few pieces of equipment every day.
Yeah, but a few years back, I started making an estimate of how many units, and there were in the hundreds of thousands, because thank God we have a base of customers, and that's where I call the cultural aspect of our business, because see, we deal like for instance with Pedro Chavez, and we work on his electronics. Then his son, Pedro Chavez Jr., who became a doctor here in El Paso, we repair his stuff, radios, microwave ovens, televisions. And now the grandson.
Oh, really?
They told me that the grandson had gone over and mentioned that. So we have a base of loyal, repeat customers that keeps us in business. So repeat business is very important.
So you built your business with the idea of growing your repeat business.
Right. Yeah. We take care of the people, and we're fast and reasonable in prices. But go ahead.
Well, that's pretty fascinating. That you've been able to build a business, and as it changes, the industry you work in changes. You reduce turnover, you keep it low, you build loyalty in your employees, and you've been around for over 40 years. That's amazing. So as you've been sharing, you started your business in 1976. And you started right there in the same place you're at now?
We've been in 2 places.
Okay.
6310 North Mesa, which is it's a few blocks apart.
Okay.
And for the first 5 years, then Aaron Wertker invited us to move to a current location, 7112 North Mesa, Colony Cove 2. And we've been there for that long.
And you have a team of employees. You have how many employees now?
We have like 7 employees right now, and that has varied throughout the years. And we move also from a bigger location to a smaller location, and then back and forth, depending again on the circumstances, management.
So you got into a business that was very promising as a young man, because you were studying electronics in high school, and you liked it. But you're an entrepreneur. So were you born an entrepreneur, or is that something you learned?
Well, I think it's a learning experience. By the way, we're a religious family of faith in God, and so that has been a factor, a major factor for us. I forget to to do that. But and yeah, and I'm an active member of our church. So what happens is that we started with an idea and with a need, and then we started evolving.
You saw the need of TV repair.
TV repair, yes.
And your faith, what role does faith play for you in your business?
Well, it's actually plays a 24/7 role, because we're spiritual people, and so we always put things on God's hands, and in times of difficulty, which you're going to have. I mean, it's just part of it. Some young people that begin businesses, they think that they're going to have instant success, and there's possible, with so many technology and things like that. I'm sure it's possible, but the great majority percentage, it's going to take a lot of work.
How long did it take you before you realized you were successful?
Well, it wasn't long, because in 6310 North Mesa, it was a hotel turned into shopping center. Gilbert Flores was the owner of that place, and we rented a small location on Mesa Street, and at the end of the year, the first year, the next year, we had taken over the next room, the next location, two places, and at about the fourth or fifth year, we had taken pretty much one wing of the hotel.
Wow! So you grew. In growing the business, you were meeting customers' demand on the west side, but you serve the whole community as well?
Yes, yeah, especially now. Back then, we concentrated on the west side and Coronado. We used to know west side as Coronado. And then what happened is that we started thinking of even expanding. We only opened a place in Sunland Park Mall for a few years, but at one point the idea was to go to the east side and open a place. But then we started getting businesses when we started doing warranty to fulfill the service contract warranties that people buy at Sam's, Walmart, Home Depot, and then of course that opened up our coverage, because people that bought insurance lived on the east side. So then we became, and now people see our vehicles all over the city.
So it's worthwhile getting the warranty?
Well, the warranty, it's something that takes a lot of follow-up. Okay, you perform a service for a unit or a television, refrigerator, or whatever. Then you have to do the paperwork, and so it's something that you have to be very careful. And I need to emphasize on that, because doing warranty work could backfire.
Really? In what sense?
Okay, for instance, they open a line of credit for you. Let's say you're doing Sony. Let's say Sony warranty work, which we did. And one of the requisites of becoming an authorized service center for them is for you to have a line of credit of $50,000, $100,000.
Wow.
And so that you can purchase parts for their clients, so that you don't have to struggle with it. So what happens is that after a while, you start overdrawing or getting part your technicians, because it's not just you, it's the other technicians, and they start replacing parts, and so soon you end up going reaching your limit. And so when you have to reconcile, then you're thinking, wait a minute, I took in, I don't know, $10,000 or so, and that's fine. But now we have these $9,000 in that we owe in parts. So it's like a fallacy.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful, and we're doing warranty work right now, but we know how to handle it.
So small guys can't operate in that world.
Right. Yeah.
So let me ask you, but you also went to school while you were building your business. You went to UTEP.
Right. Yeah. See, so what happens is what I mentioned before. At one point, you need to. It's a long time, 45 years. At one point, you need to replace yourself. In other words, run the business. You have people, very, very efficient people. In my case, Jesse Rojas, Lorena. I got the best technician in town. I got actually two of the best technicians in town, and so the business runs by itself. Okay, I mean you keep an eye on it.
And what is your role?
Well, okay, so my role is to oversee things, and sometimes you get involved on a service call. I don't have any problem with it. It's what keeps me going. But it gave me time to get enrolled in school, and actually to venture into other fields. After I finished my, after I couldn't continue with my electrical engineering at UTEP, I switched majors. And I got into sociology, criminology field, and I ended up working for the district attorney.
Really?
Yes, for two district attorneys, for Steve Siemens and then Jaime Esparza.
Really?
Yes. I kind of wanted to go to law school, and the prosecution office offered an excellent opportunity to learn.
While you were running the business?
Well, someone else, my wife,
Yeah.
but here in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the district attorney's office is downtown, so I didn't have to go out of town.
Yeah. So you
Actually,
pursued it.
UTEP. I'm sorry. Actually, UTEP had a internship
Okay.
as part of UTEP.
So how long did you do that?
For a few years.
Really?
So, yeah.
But then
5,
you
6
went back
years.
to school.
Then I went back to the business. Got more involved again, and at that time we became commercial dealers for DirecTV. So I got, it was exciting, and so it had a lot of potential, and so I went back to the business, but kind of never left the school. I kept going.
And you went on and got some more education.
Yeah, I went in and got a master's in liberal arts, the arts, and border studies and history.
Okay.
And but before then, I also worked for the federal government.
Really?
Yes. So because I was qualified, I had the degree, the undergraduate degree, and I had now the experience of the district attorney's office, because I was fully after the internship they hired me and participated in and So after a few years, then I applied for the federal job, and kind of the same thing happened again after some time. Another opportunity in the business opened up, so I returned to the business. In that case, I had to go out of town for that.
What agency did you work for in the government?
What dates?
What agency?
Agency, it's the now it's CBP.
Okay.
Customs Border Protection, but back then it used to be U.S. Customs, part of the Department of the Treasury.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even Department of Justice.
But you had the business, and so, but you also teach at UTEP now.
Yeah, and let me just tell you, go back a little bit. Yeah, and of course, the government employment, it's secure, it's well paid, but then I had the option of my business. So a lot of people thought and said, "Hey, what are you doing? You got a good job, and here with the federal system, why living in it?" Well, the business pulled me back.
So, is it fair to say you were uncomfortable working for a bureaucracy?
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't necessarily that. It's just that the appealing of your business, because when you own your business, you own your time. I mean, there's some requirements and difficulties and things like that, but nonetheless, you own your business, and so you control your time.
So really, your wife was able to maintain the business while you went and did some work?
Yes, definitely. In fact, all of the credit, it's hers, especially for the last 30 some years.
Wow.
Because she's been able to generate more business. Of course, sometimes we run out of business of some items, and so she's been able to find other venues, and so that's what I tell young people, is just being informed of what's going on. And kind of a focus on something.
Yeah, you have to really see the trends, and I want to get into that. But before I do want to mention that you do teach at UTEP. And how long have you been teaching?
I think now a few years.
Okay, what is it you teach?
It's an anthropology, sociology, border studies combination, and it's Mexican culture, literature, history.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm passionate about that.
You get into that.
Yeah, and so I enjoy the students.
Yeah.
And doing it. It's not necessarily because of need.
Yeah.
It's I enjoyed Dr. Joe Heyman invited me.
That's great.
And Dr. Campbell
in sociology
hired me.
Yeah, because I teach Hispanic entrepreneurship, joint with Chicano Studies and sociology, and so it's a undergraduate specials for. But teaching. But you so how does that teaching help you with the business?
Well, it's you mean in what way? Economically or
no, in terms of the way you see things and think things through. And
well, see, again, I the same discipline that I demand from the employees, I demand from the students, and vice versa. Having a routine of responsibility keeps you in track.
It's interesting. One of the things that I look for is completion. It's very difficult, I think, for a lot of people don't know what it is to complete. But when you do a service on a television, for example, you can't turn it back half done. You have to do a complete job.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And so your team is your technicians know what it is to complete.
Right. Yes. And they're so efficient, and like I say, because we keep training, we keep the different companies that we service required us to complete the exams, the training, before we continue servicing the new products.
So you keep training.
Yes, for years, I remember when I started, RC8 used to invite us all to the Holiday Inns for training. They would buy breakfast, and so that has been true for forever. And I miss those conferences because we used to go all over the country.
Yeah.
To go to Zenith, Chicago, for training, for VCRs.
Wow.
At one point, our name was Coronado TV and VCR.
Oh, really? I returned.
Because there were so many VCRs. Now people don't even know what a VCR is.
Oh. Well, I was fortunate to use your service. I had a new TV, 2 years old, and it went out, and I called, and people came and looked at it and said, we have to take it to the shop to really diagnose it. And of course, what surprised me is here's a new TV that goes out in a couple of years. Are they more fragile now?
Well, what it is that the price went down, deteriorated actually, and people don't realize that also the insides, the parts are cheaper. In other words, a 65-inch back in the 80s was like what, a few $1,000s. Now you can buy a $65-inch television for, for $400 or $500. So it's rather cheap. But then people have to realize that also the insides are very
are they repairable?
Some of them are repairable, some of them are not. And also, the thing is that people used to keep a Sony for 20 years.
Yes.
And nothing happened to it.
Right.
Now, you buy a television and maybe in a year or so, it's broken.
So how does that help? What does that do for your business?
Well, it increments our business. Or the warranty service, because if it's within the warranty service, then again, remember the risk of doing warranty work that I mentioned before. You have to be very, very careful with that, because these companies, they're good companies, but they're professional companies that don't pay too much for the warranty work, but then you need it. You need it in order to keep your employees.
So one of the questions that I'd like to ask you has to do with the relationship between theory and practice, because you mentioned that when you're working on a unit, it's good to understand the whole theoretical construct of the electronics,
Right.
rather than just working on the pieces and replacing pieces.
Right.
So if you understand the theory, you can apply it and fix it much, because you understand the root of the problem. So how does that apply to business? Do you read on business theory, or?
Well, yes. I never had the chance to take a business class, or I mean, formally. I've read many books, but I think it's one of the things that you learn as you go. In other words, and my wife, she's very, very good at paying our bills, paying taxes, paying employees. Thank God we never missed paying our employees every Friday, and that's an accomplishment. And so, like I said, the fact that we keep our employees, and at all costs, if possible, that builds a sense of family in the business. Okay, we truly feel like a family, and because we know we're going to be there for them, and they're going to be there for us when we need them.
Do you do anything special to build that?
Well, I don't consider them employees. It's just like we're working together. We're working together. When I go there to work, because I do so still, it's like we're working together, and they're pretty much like family. After 30 years with us, 20, 15, it's
So it's a place where people can find their fulfillment there.
Mm-hmm.
So have you made big business mistakes in 40 years?
And let me just go back a little bit. Also, we enjoy working for the with the customers. That quick relationship with a customer, it's very satisfying. I like to compare sometimes the job of an attorney. Okay. An attorney deals with a client, and he might have to deal with them for a long time if they're defending them or doing something. A relationship with a client, it's simple. It's simple. They bring in a broken unit, and then we repair it, and they're very happy. We're into vintage working too. In other words, people are bringing stuff, record players from the 40s, 50s, and so especially our old customers, we accept that work, and once we restore it and get it back in shape, they're very happy. So it's a quick and rewarding situation that help a lot.
So your business is really customer service.
It is customer service, yes, yeah.
And but your technology is electronic repair. How have the industry changes a lot and has over the years? How in the world have you been able to survive with all the changes that TVs go through?
Well, reinventing ourselves, renovating, televisions first, then VCRs, and then audio equipment, then satellite dishes, then appliances. We got into appliances, Tempur-Pedic beds. In other words, our technicians can't figure out anything that it's electronic. I know once we got a remote control for one of those huge construction trucks that you dump the load with the
right.
remote, and it broke. So they brought it. We fixed it.
Wow,
Yeah,
interesting. Electronics.
It's incredible. We've even been involved in the making of a movie industry. Many years ago, when they were filming The Day After Tomorrow here,
Yes.
big production. The production got a hold of us to help him with satellites that they installed on top of that building on this side of Paisano,
Mhm.
part of the. So we helped them with the dishes, with huge.
So what is the future for your business?
The future, it's good. It's got a lot of potential. We're always open for venues. With recently, last year we went to Las Vegas for the electronic show in Las Vegas, and a TV that rolls down into a tube is coming up with an excellent picture.
Wow.
Bigger televisions are coming, not just 65 but 100 inch televisions. there's a world of opportunities for the electronic industry.
Wow.
It's just taking the time and not giving up, and waiting and patience.
Yeah.
You got to have patience.
Wow. Wow. And you're still in the business since 1976, and as the industry changes, your business changes and adapts and adjusts.
Thank God.
And you provide the customer service. That's what you're in,
Yeah.
really. Wow. Well, it's amazing, Mr. Manzanarez, to hear your story, and that you've done so many different things, and you kept training. You kept going to school and learning what you really, have the capacity to do, and you teach too at the university, which is wonderful. So it's been very impressive to hear your story.
Well,
I
thank you for
appreciate you
inviting me.
sharing it. Business is not easy,
No, but it's very rewarding.
but you've been
I'm proof of it.
but you've been learning all the way through, and you're still learning.
Yes, every day. Yeah, because you can get stuck in some field. If you do, see, that's the other thing. That how much time do you give to get knowledge of that field? You have to know when to stop and then move on. Because if you get stuck there, then
Yeah. So the comfort zone is not a place to be.
right.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Manzanarez, for sharing.
You're
And
welcome.
I appreciate you viewers for watching us and staying with us as we listen to this story of Coronado TV and Appliance, and appreciate your staying with us, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.